We're going to look at the consumer price index now, but let's go back very quickly to our simple macroeconomic model that we're going to look at. We've looked at this idea of real GDP, and we're going to now look at this vertical axis over here, the CPI. Then we'll be looking at the long-run aggregate supply curve, and finally we'll be looking at the AD, or aggregate demand ladder. So we're looking at now what the variable that would go on the vertical axis. At the same time, we're looking at an important statistic that's used in common speech and reported on news frequently. So the delta, this is not a triangle, it's the Greek letter delta, means change in, and we're looking at the change in the CPI. CPI stands for the Consumer Price Index, or in French, the Indice des prix à la consommation. So what is it exactly? Well, every month, the Statistics Canada has employees. They're called price checkers, and basically what they do is go shopping. These price checkers have a very, very precise list of items on their grocery list. In technical term for this, by the way, is a basket of goods. So, for example, the list might have something like 1 kilogram of grade A chicken, 10 liters of regular gasoline bought at a self-serve station, package of domestic cigarettes, 500 grams. Cheddar cheese, it might have imported cheddar cheese or domestic mild cheddar cheese. The list can be extremely precise. They collect the prices for all of these items. They fill out a form, and they probably do it with an iPad or something now. Now, keep in mind, too, that, of course, prices in a supermarket are not going to be the same as the prices in a dépanneur. So they have to check both of those. And then, of course, prices in Montreal are not the same in say, Yellowknife or Halifax. In fact, Statistics Canada has price checkers across the country. So they do it in St. John's in Newfoundland, all the way to, I guess, Victoria, Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, Winnipeg, and so on. They do this every month, by the way. And they collect all these prices and send them off to Ottawa. And then in Statistics Canada in Ottawa has to make some kind of an average of all these various numbers. Let's consider a precise example of how this would work and how it would lead to the CPI. So I'm going to keep it really, really simple. As I say, they do this every month. I'm going to say that, well, let's do it just once a year. So let's start with December 2017. So imagine that and instead of going to a bunch of different stores, they just go to one Provigo and they put a bunch of things in a cart. This particular price checker, I'm not going to worry about averages across the country. I'm just going to look at, say, Montreal. So the person goes into Provigo, puts a bunch of things, very precise list, into a grocery cart, wheels it up to the cashier, and let's say that the cost of this basket is $300. So they would do it in January, February, March. Just skip all of that, and we'll come to December 2018. Let's say they'd put exactly the same things, precisely the same list, put it into a grocery cart, $342. Then a year later, December 2019, they show up, exact same thing, go into the grocery cart, wheel it up to the cashier, it's $371. So first thing to do is to pick a base year. Well, in this case, it'd be like a base month. But I'm going to completely arbitrate before pick December 2017. I'll call that the base year. And by definition, in the base year, the CPI is 100. Why? Because the guy that invented this happened to think 100 is a nice round number. So what do we do for subsequent years? So to calculate the CPI in December 2018, the idea is to take the price of the basket in that year, 342, divided by the price of the basket in the base year. Same exact same items, it's $300, and then multiply by 100. So 342 divided by 300 times 100 gives me 114. So then Statistics Canada, in effect, would announce the CPI for December 2018 as 114. Let's do it for December 2019. So once again, we would take the price of the basket in that particular year, how much it cost to buy all those items on that list, divide by 300 times 100, and we get 123.7. It's as simple as that. If you're curious about how we would calculate the CPI in the base year, well, it would just be 300 divided by 300 times 100, so it still works. The basic principle is to take the cost of the basket in a particular year divided by the cost in the base year. Now, to calculate the inflation rate, which is a change in the CPI, notice I put a little triangle here to indicate the change in it, we can do it for, in effect, the change from 2017 to 2018. And we're going to use now the formula from before, new minus old divided by the old. So I would take the CPI in 2018 This is the new one minus the old one of 100, and multiply by 100. That gives me the percentage form. So we get an inflation rate of 14%. If we do it for the next subsequent year, I take the new one minus the old one divided by the old one, and again multiplying by 100. This is only necessary to turn it into a percentage, and in this case we'd get 8.5%. Keep in mind that these numbers above here are completely fictional. In fact, I just made these numbers up as an example. In actual fact, in Canada, we're using the base year of 2002, which means that in 2002, the CPI was 100. I think January 2020, so about a year or so ago, it was 136.7, meaning to say a basket of goods, another way to view it is to say, well, a basket of goods, let's say, cost $100 in 2002. Well, that same basket of goods now would cost about $136.70. We can. I've got here the CPI for 2021, and you could then figure out the inflation rate. It's been low. It's about one. I didn't figure it out, but it'll be 1 or 2%, something like that. And that's been the case for the last 10 to 15, 20 years. Inflation has been relatively low in Canada, about under 2%.